CTV News with Mitsumi Takahashi.
Good evening. There will be a vigil tonight for 3-year-old Ava Champini. She died during a church outing in LaSalle. She was playing inside an inflatable castle when a strong gust of wind blew it into the air. Angela, the vigil begins at 7.
And Mitsumi, the invitation says that all are welcome, and we're already starting to see some people gathering near the makeshift memorial here in Park Ouellette. This is the scene, the park where this tragic scene unfolded. Now, Ava Champini was just 3 years old when she died 2 Sundays ago. A sudden windstorm threw tents and fences into the air, as well as the inflatable castle where little Ava was playing. Now, she was one of 11 people who was injured at this church party, and she was rushed to hospital in critical condition, but she did not survive. Now, this is a tight-knit community. Many people have been shaken by this event. For more than a week, people have been contributing to the memorial here. They've been leaving toys and flowers, as well as touching notes. There's also been a fundraiser that was set up for the family that has so far raised more than $478,000. Now, we are expecting quite a number of people are going to come out to show their support for the family tonight. The event begins at 7 p.m. Mitsumi here in Park Ouellette in LaSalle.
Okay. Thanks very much, Angela. That's Angela McKenzie in LaSalle. A cyclist was hit by a vehicle near Notre Dame and Davidson this afternoon. The cyclist, a 38-year-old man, was then hit by a second vehicle. He's now in critical condition. The two drivers were not injured, and they're going to be questioned by police. And there was a fatal fire overnight in St. Leonard. Police were called to an apartment building on Davila Street at around 1:30 this morning. A 73-year-old man was declared dead on the scene. The cause of the fire is not known. We're being told to stop taking fresh water for granted. After the city of Montreal, the suburban cities are now calling for even more drastic measures to cut back on how much water we use. Here's Stéphane Giroux.
In one of Montérégie's biggest cities, watering your lawn in the summer is now a thing of the past. Saint-Hyacinthe is banning it from June to September.
Non, en 2026, on ne peut plus faire ça.
We can't do this anymore in 2026, even if we have a lot of water in Quebec, explains the mayor. The Yamaska River crosses the town. One of Saint-Hyacinthe's main problem is that its water filtration plant is running at near capacity. They want to expand it, but that will take at least 10 years to even get the project off the ground. In the meantime, the city says it has no choice but to tell people to cut down on consumption. The city says citizens are encouraged to adopt new methods to preserve their lawn and water.
On dit aux gens, coupez pas votre gazon trop court.
We're telling people not to cut the grass too short to preserve its humidity, he says. This local resident says he's willing to sacrifice his spotless lawn.
C'est sûr que le gazon, ça peut être cute, mais je veux dire, c'est pas...
In the grand scheme of things, I guess a green lawn isn't a priority, says the homeowner. Environmentalists say Saint-Hyacinthe is doing the right thing.
We should have taken that step a while back.
Canada, she says, has a lot of water, but it doesn't mean everyone has access to it.
It's true, factually, that we have 10% of the world fresh water, but 90% of the Canadian population is on the U.S. border or on the Saint Laurent River. So people are not where most of that water is.
Many other cities are increasingly following Saint-Hyacinthe's lead. Its mayor suspects this will soon turn into a trend.
Je pense que dans 5 ans, 10 ans...
Within 5 or 10 years, I wouldn't be surprised if watering the lawn in the summer is banned everywhere, he says. Stéphane Giroux, CTV News, Saint-Hyacinthe.
Several health centers and clinics north of Montreal were left crippled yesterday. Appointments were cancelled. People were told to stay away from a Laval ER. And there are questions today about why there was no backup. Matt Grillo reports.
The computer and phone outages were resolved early this morning, but they did last for hours. The 3 health authorities affected were in Laval, the Lanaudière, and the Laurentians. The Lanaudière Health Authority says the problem was caused by a fiber optic cable that was cut. In Laval, the outage lasted approximately 13 hours. Blood tests, vaccinations, and screenings at Laval testing centers remained canceled until noon Tuesday. And on Monday, people were asked to avoid the Cité de la Santé hospital emergency room unless their condition required immediate help. In a statement, telecommunications company TELUS said a road incident that occurred on June 8th caused an interruption of telecommunications services in the region. Our team worked hard to restore service as quickly as possible. Despite the complexity of the work and the busy site of the incident, services were back up and running yesterday evening.
They should have at least have a secondary link that would have just accomplished continuity of exchange of information while the repair is ongoing.
Cybersecurity expert Steve Waterhouse says with Quebec making a digital shift in healthcare, backup options are essential.
Since everybody's migrating to that digital way of life, well, the digital way has to be ensured and has to always be available by whatever means necessary.
Despite the situation having been resolved as of 1:15 this morning, Santé Quebec says there could be certain slowdowns throughout the day. Matt Grillo, CTV News, Laval.
The PQ doesn't like the idea of a high-speed rail line between Toronto and Quebec City, and it says it would withdraw Quebec from the project if it forms the next government. Olivia O'Malley reports.
Quebec City would be one of the stops in the federal government's high-speed rail project. Politicians here are in a united front against the PQ's opposition to it.
It's nonsense.
It's not a good thing to send the message that we want to stop this project.
The PQ is threatening to withdraw Quebec from the project if elected this fall. The Alto project is still in the design phase. The proposed high-speed rail line would connect Toronto to Montreal in 3 hours and Montreal to Quebec City in about an hour and a half.
It's not our priority. It's not the priority we should have at this point in time in 2026.
Based on a Bloc Québécois estimation, the PQ says the Quebec portion of the line could potentially cost $40 billion. Instead, it's asking Ottawa to give that money to invest in infrastructure here.
That amount of money we need for other priorities, which are maintaining our buildings and roads and hospitals.
Alto estimates the project will cost between $60 and $90 billion total. Some experts believe this is unrealistic. But Quebec politicians say what's really unrealistic is the fact the PQ believes this money will still exist without the train.
For them to say Quebec is entitled to $40 billion, it's not a reasonable number by any means. It's not a proven number by any means. And if the project doesn't go ahead in Quebec, it doesn't go ahead, period. There is no high-speed project between Toronto and Windsor.
In Ottawa,
Le Québec met pas d'argent.
Federal Industry Minister Mélanie Joly reiterated that Ontario and Quebec don't have to contribute a single penny to the project and praised the project's qualities, including the creation of 50,000 jobs. The PQ says it has not consulted the mayors of Quebec's major cities who have all expressed interest in the project. Montreal's mayor says Quebec must be able to pursue an ambitious vision for the future while continuing to invest in the infrastructure that citizens rely on every day. However, despite the unanimous opposition to the PQ, the train can be pulled off the tracks without the support of the next Quebec government. Olivia O'Malley, CTV News, Quebec City.
Rabies is spreading among raccoons in southern Quebec, and a vaccination campaign is now underway. Officials are targeting the Montérégie and the eastern townships where most of the rabies cases have been reported. People are being asked to report aggressive or odd behavior in raccoons, foxes, or skunks. They're also advising people to stay away from any animals in the wild.
So far in 2026, we have 71 cases of raccoon rabies that are confirmed in the raccoon population. And those cases are in Estrie and Montérégie region. And some cases are quite close to the south shore of the Montreal area. So there's a case in Mont-Saint-Hilaire as well as Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu on the west side of the Richelieu River. So that's quite concerning for us, considering we don't want rabies to hit the highly populated areas of the Montreal South Shore as well as Montreal Island.
People who might be injured by a wild animal are advised to call 811 immediately and wash the wound area for 10 to 15 minutes. There is a debate underway over whether it should become illegal to insult a police officer. Similar bylaws do exist in other Quebec cities, and the Montreal Police Brotherhood has been calling on Montreal to follow suit. The police union commissioned a poll after a video showing a man verbally abusing a young female officer. It went viral in March. A large percentage of Montrealers, 85%, found the video unacceptable, and 70% supported the idea of making insults an offense. In an interview with CJAD 800 Radio this afternoon, Mayor Soraya Martinez-Ferrada said she plans to discuss the possibility of a bylaw with the Brotherhood.
The issue will always be, what's your definition of an insult? And how are you going to make sure that because you get a ticket and you get mad to the police officer that give you a ticket, that you tell him the F word and then you have another ticket? Like, what's the definition of the insult? And what we saw was the extreme of that, of what happened. And of course, we all denounced it. Now, how do we make sure that we put a bylaw that will not be contested in court?
And racial profiling activists have also expressed concern about how such a bylaw might be abused. Montreal's Bixis are getting a summer makeover. Local artists have painted some of the bikes to create art in motion. Here's Christine Long.
Bixi wants to catch your eye and pique your interest.
It's really important to see art everywhere.
Bixi and Lotto Quebec hired local artists to beautify these bikes.
Really proud of the collection. I think they are really nice looking, and I think it's fun because art becomes accessible.
Now that the weather is nice, Bixi records 75,000 rides a day, and these hand-painted bikes get rented twice as much.
They will take pictures with them. They will share those pictures online and share the love of the city, the love of the art.
Spokesperson for this project, performer Pierre Lapointe, says art should be everywhere.
Always working with artists in visual art, in theater, in music, in architecture, in design.
Contributing artist Gabor Bata usually paints on flat surfaces.
Figure out every nook and cranny on this thing.
The shape of the bike inspired him to add hidden doodles and cartoonish characters.
Just to be as loud and as vibrant as possible when it's zooming past.
Hoping to encourage even more people to rent a ride. Christine Long, CTV News.
Meanwhile, Bixi is reporting acts of vandalism that target certain Bixi stations across the network. The company says it is an issue it's taking very seriously, and several measures are being taken to make sure the services are not affected. Coming up, it could come as soon as tomorrow.
The government will be taking steps to protect people's data, their privacy, and their children. So that is the focus of this government. Yes.
And it will include a social media ban for children under the age of 16. And how did a man manage to fly Air Canada planes for 17 years without a valid license? An Air Canada pilot is accused of flying hundreds of commercial flights over 17 years without a valid license. So how did it go undetected for so long, and was passenger safety ever compromised? Here's John Woodward.
This investigation and the details surrounding it read like a movie script.
But police say this fraud was very real. An Air Canada pilot flying for decades, captaining planes full of passengers like 767s and 777s that he wasn't licensed to do.
During that time, he captained over 900 domestic flights, earning millions of dollars in salary for those captaining flights, but also flew tens of thousands of passengers.
Charged with fraud and forgery is Jeff Wall, who a posted biography with Ontario's Georgian College says once flew with Canada's Armed Forces and helped connect future pilots with careers as a part-time employee.
Canadian airlines are safe.
That's video of Wall in 2015 sitting down for an interview on CTV's Canada AM. He was the chair of the Air Canada Pilots Association during the period Peel police say he wasn't licensed. Air Canada said in a statement, despite the licensing problem, he was competent to fly, saying safety was not compromised by this incident because all pilots at Air Canada undergo mandatory recurrent training every 6 months to validate their flying competency.
I'm going to show you this. This is mine, actually.
CTV aviation expert Phil Dirty said every year or more a pilot has to show his license to what's called a check pilot, a person working for Transport Canada. But there's apparently no cross-referencing that with government databases.
So, you're taking it at face value, but when the medical is done, then it should be checked there. And then also with the database at Transport Canada, it should also be checked at that point as well.
Police say it was a regular check in March of 2025 that finally flagged the license. Air Canada called in Transport Canada, which reviewed the situation, and then they called the police. Police allege that Wall made a false police report to them to cover his tracks. Wall hasn't responded to messages from CTV News. He's considered innocent until proven guilty and did have a lower standard of pilot's license. John Woodward, CTV News, Mississauga.
Ottawa is planning to ban social media for children under the age of 16. It would be part of an online safety bill that could come as early as tomorrow. Judy Trin has more.
2 to 5.
Yeah.
4. How many hours?
I've seen anywhere from like 3 to 6.
Every student on this grade 8 school field trip spends hours on their phone daily. Most give a social media ban for kids under 16 a failing mark.
It's like a way for them to communicate and like get friends other than like friends at school. If you post a video or something like that and people put comments, it can like boost your confidence.
If you do ban it, I feel like they definitely find much more unsafe ways to get around it. That would just be more harmful to the kids.
But the culture minister is expected to table a new digital safety bill on Wednesday.
We will take all reasonable measures to make sure kids are safe in this country. I think it's obvious why it's a priority. Kids are dying.
A federal digital regulator would be appointed to set safety standards. In addition to the age limit, social media companies would be required to remove child sexual abuse material and reduce exposure to content that encourages children to hurt themselves. But experts worry the bill could backfire.
Implementing a ban is enormously difficult. It costs a lot of resources, requires a lot on the enforcement front, etc.
There's concern that age verification could violate privacy and block student access to educational material. But this teacher supports a ban because she needs more tools to control social media use in the classroom and at home.
I just feel like kids need a little bit more guidance and restriction at this age. They're at a pivotal time in their life when they are forming rights and wrongs, and I just feel like it opens up Pandora's box.
The Liberals have been trying to introduce legislation to protect children from online harms for 7 years. They now have a majority, but there isn't enough time to pass the bill before Parliament rises for the summer. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
The new Gordie Howe Bridge between Windsor and Detroit will finally open at the end of the week. The bridge was supposed to be a symbol of cooperation between Canada and the U.S. until Donald Trump said otherwise. Graham Richardson reports.
If only the construction complexities of this massive project were the only obstacle. After decades of planning, years of construction, apparently the Gordie Howe Bridge is set to open between Windsor and Michigan.
It's positive news. Obviously, the bridge will be open at the end of the week, and a symbol, but also a fact of cooperations between our countries.
But in 2026, it's just not that simple. After blasting Canada over the bridge in February and threatening to block it because of trade disputes, the White House said, despite the ribbon-cutting Friday, the president's position on the Gordie Howe Bridge has not changed. The administration remains committed to securing the best deal for the American people. So some kind of ceremony this week, but no official answer yet on when traffic will actually flow.
Politics is getting weird, and I think that is the technical term these days.
The bridge was paid for by Canada, American workers and materials were used, and it's partially owned by the state of Michigan. There is wide support for it opening on the American side, too.
If there is a better deal to be had by the Americans, I have no idea what that would be.
For those who fought for decades to keep the project going on the Canadian side, there is optimism.
I'm surprised that it's been resolved as quickly as it has, and kudos to Canada and to our American friends the many, many American friends who have long supported this project.
But then again, maybe not.
Well, I hope so. I really hope so that it's going to happen. So let's see what really happens.
So there will be some kind of an opening ceremony on the bridge itself on Friday. One American media outlet is reporting that vehicles will flow starting Monday morning, but that was before that statement today from the White House. So the people of Michigan and Windsor may have to wait a little longer for the strange politics of 2026 to work themselves out. Graham Richardson, CTV News, Ottawa.
A U.S. Army attack helicopter went down in the Strait of Hormuz, possibly after a collision with a Russian drone. Donald Trump threatened to retaliate, and there are now reports U.S. retaliatory strikes are already underway. On social media, Trump had posted that both pilots are safe, but then said, quote, "Nevertheless, the United States must of necessity respond to this attack." The crew was in an Apache attack helicopter like this one when it went down. They were rescued by an American drone boat. NASA today introduced the crew for its next Artemis mission, Artemis III. There are no Canadians this time, but there was still a symbolic handoff from Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen.
The Artemis II crew, comrade, hands you the baton. You got the controls.
The crew members are Randy Bresnik, Frank Rubio, and Andre Douglas of NASA, and Luca Parmitano of the European Space Agency. Unlike Artemis II, this mission will not fly to the moon. Instead, the astronauts will orbit Earth while they practice docking their Orion capsule with lunar landers. The Artemis III mission is scheduled to launch in late 2027. And coming up, it is a long way from Africa.
The day I'm able to look back and say I'm so thankful to my mom that she made this choice, because it gave me so much chances to be where I am today.
And now he's on his way to the World Cup. And Donald Trump's birthday, and things are not going as planned. Donald Trump turns 80 this weekend, and he plans to celebrate with a UFC mixed martial arts fight on the White House lawn. He also wants a big concert, but that's not quite working out as planned. And that's not the only thing that's not working out for Donald Trump these days. Graham Dodds is with Concordia University. Hi, Graham.
Hi, Mitsumi.
So, Graham, for someone who studies American politics and history, so what do you think when you're confronted with this idea of a mixed martial arts fight on the White House lawn for the president's birthday?
Yeah, it's really something. I mean, there is some history of sort of eyebrow-raising celebrations of presidential birthdays. I'm thinking of 1962 and, JFK being sultrily sung to Happy Birthday, Mr. President by Marilyn Monroe. But this MMA stuff is, I think, really far beyond that. I mean, I remember when it was illegal in the United States and people thought it was undignified, inappropriate, even Republican Senator John McCain felt it was sort of a human cockfight, and people just thought it was déclassé. But let's face it, those are kind of the hallmarks of the Trump era. So it's maybe appropriate that Trump would celebrate his birthday by cheering on this event. I have to say, in terms of a broader historical parallel, it's almost like ancient Romans at the Colosseum cheering on gladiators engaged in blood sports. So we've got Trump as a kind of modern-day Emperor Caligula cheering on the depravity.
Well, there are increasing questions about his mental health, though, given his age, and his reaction to the artists who pulled out of the concert series that was planned for the National Mall, the temper tantrum that he took very recently in his interview with NBC. Do you think there has been a change in his behavior?
I mean, Trump has always had a rather unique and weird personality, and it's not improving. Some people do believe it's getting worse, perhaps due to age. And, you just do some evidence for that. But others say, look, this is just Trump being Trump. He is authentic. He's always been like this. And if anything, maybe he's even less reserved than he used to be. And let's face it, he was never that reserved. But I think these debates will continue as the president continues to get older. I don't think these debates are going away. Some people are saying it's reached the point where maybe the cabinet could invoke the 25th Amendment and declare him unfit for office. I think that's a liberal fantasy. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I think Trump's cabinet is loyal to a fault. But these debates about his odd personality will continue for the rest of his presidency.
Meanwhile, the U.S. House voted to halt the war in Iran. It's being called a major rebuke to Trump. Do you think it is?
I do. I mean, look, this is not going to end the war anytime soon, but this vote in the House of Representatives against the president is politically remarkable. It wasn't just Democrats voting against him, as one would expect, but there were some Republicans. So this, to my mind, constitutes a rather rare example of elected Republicans criticizing their president. This does not happen much, but it seems it is starting to happen. And that is, I think, a sort of political turning point. And people aren't sure why it's starting to happen. Is it just the MAGA coalition cracking? Is it congressional Republicans growing a backbone? I don't know, but it's really something to watch. Trump still has a large degree of control over his party, but as the midterms are looming and soon in the rearview mirror, I would expect more and more Republicans to feel free to speak up against the president.
Some people are saying, Graham, that the Democrats should be doing more to take advantage of what appears to be these divisions among the Republicans. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the political winds are very much in the Democrats' favor right now. They're really looking forward to the November elections, and they're optimistic about their chances. They would love to be able to capitalize even further on it, but there's just not that much they can do. I mean, in the American system, there's no officially designated leader of the loyal opposition. It's just individual Democratic politicians doing what they think is best without any real leadership or coordination. And there's no way around that. There's no sort of institutional mechanism whereby Democrats could engage in a coherent strategy. That said, I think they're more than happy just to sit back and watch Trump self-destruct and drag down the Republican Party with him.
Okay. Thank you very much for this, Graham.
Thank you.
Weather brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
Well, we are live from Mural Fest on the corner of Milton and Boulevard Saint-Laurent. Now, this festival has been going on for 14 years, and it runs until this coming Sunday, June 14th. Right in front of me right now, there is a live art battle. There are two artists that are battling it out as we speak, and that's one of the cool things that this festival makes it very unique, is that you can see these wonderful creations being made right before your very eyes. It's basically an open-air museum, and Boulevard Saint-Laurent is now a pedestrian street, so you can walk as you please and sort of take in all the sights and sounds. There's restaurants to see. It's absolutely awesome. Now, I know that this coming weekend they're having a special art block party, so there's going to be art and music and dancing, so certainly something to check out. And I would recommend going on Saturday because that's looking like the nicest day for the coming week. Now let's talk about today because it was a hot one. It was sunny. We did see a daytime high today of 28 degrees, but thanks to the humidity, it felt like 33 or 34 at times. Now, typically this time of year, we're around 23 degrees, so definitely a warm one. And if you were outside today, you probably felt it. I know right now there's a nice breeze, so it's making it very comfortable. Overnight, we are seeing increasing clouds, a low of 18 degrees. Now, this is on the warmer side, so to be comfortable tonight, I would recommend a light blanket and maybe a fan or air conditioner. Tomorrow morning, we start the day off with rain. It looks like just before noon. We'll start the day with cloudy skies, and then into the afternoon, later in the day, we're looking at the risk of some thunderstorms. It's almost at 80%, so seeming pretty high and very likely. So something to consider. You will want a raincoat, maybe not an umbrella tomorrow with that risk of thunderstorms. So again, 18 degrees overnight, 19 to start the day, and we will hit a daytime high of 26 degrees, feeling like 34, along with 12 millimeters of rain. Thursday, we start the day off with some clouds, seeing some clearing. Now, I want to just highlight that on Friday, we have the risk of thunderstorms, a high of 31, feeling like 39, but looking ahead to the weekend, we'll get some relief and some sunshine.
Serena Williams won her comeback match today, and she had some Canadian help. Williams won her opening doubles match at Queen's Club in London. Her partner was 19-year-old Victoria Mboko. Williams showed she still has a lot of power, with service winners reaching 120 miles an hour. Williams is 44 years old. This was her first professional match since the 2022 U.S. Open.
And Serena, why now? Why here? What is to come?
I mean, I don't know. Just I had nothing better to do. I got tired of sitting at home. My kids are out of school for the summer, so why not?
There's 25 years between you two. I'm so sorry. Yeah, but you're still crushing it. Just how special is that for you in your young career?
Well, first of all, I feel very honored to play with you, Serena. I mean, it's such a privilege to play. It's such a privilege to play beside you, and you know, I had a lot of fun. If anything, you know, we really did that out there. So I'm so happy to be playing beside you, and we're going for more.
And more will be. Williams and Mboko will be playing Laval's Leylah Fernandez and her partner Laura Sigmund on Thursday. The Brantford Bulldogs of the Ontario Hockey League have made history. They selected goaltender Sophie Jovanovic in the second round. Jovanovic is 17 years old. She becomes the first woman chosen in the OHL under-18 draft and the second woman ever drafted into the league. Jovanovic played her AAA hockey with the Toronto Marlboros.
We used to have a little outdoor rink in the backyard, and I actually want to play hockey because of my brother. He's one of my biggest role models and supporters, and I'm so grateful for him, and I always just want to be just like my brother and follow his journey. So that's how I started playing hockey.
Ismaël Koné was born in Africa, raised in Montreal, and now the midfielder is on the road to the World Cup. Omar Sachedina has more.
Ismaël Koné is a powerhouse on the pitch. Born in Ivory Coast, he came to Montreal when he was just 7, a time of massive change for a young boy who looked at soccer as a comforting constant.
My dad played professionally back home. My mom played when she could. All my uncles played from both sides, so I picked up a ball as soon as I can. So I just remember like it was bringing me so much joy.
Though the move was a major transition.
You were quite young, but what do you remember about that time?
I never experienced cold before, so and loneliness, so it was very difficult. I remember being not the easiest child to my mom because I just don't understand why she would make that choice. At the time, I didn't understand that there was new opportunities coming to this country. Today, I'm able to look back and say I'm so thankful to my mom that she made this choice because it gave me so much chances to be where I am today.
A rising young star in the midfield, he earned a deal with CF Montreal in 2021.
Arriving there, Koné on his debut!
And a year later was on the squad for Canada for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, appearing in all 3 matches. He then played in Europe, first with Watford in England, and then to Olympique Marseille in 2024, which at the time was one of the biggest transfers for a Canadian player. But it was challenging because he got limited minutes. It's also where this video showing Koné in a heated exchange with the head coach made headlines because clubs rarely release video of internal conflict, especially with younger players. It's also, Koné says, a place that helped him grow.
I think my approach of the game completely changed because of Marseille, because it's a way bigger club than where I was.
He remained in France, played for Rennes, and now plays for Sassuolo in Italy.
Ismaël Koné!
Through it all, helping his home country, Canada, deliver.
Koné! He sends Canada into the semi-finals of Copa America!
Including scoring the decisive penalty in a shootout win over Venezuela at the Copa America, which helped Canada reach the semifinals. It's the kind of success he wants to repeat, among the lucky few who understand the magnitude of the moment, having already played on the biggest stage.
When we walk on the pitch, I just looked around. It's like I just saw the banners, woke up for 2022. It's like it really struck me, like we're at the World Cup. Some great players, they never play the World Cup.
And now he gets to do it again in a matter of days on home soil. Omar Sachedina, CTV News, Toronto.
And coming up, it is a marketing minefield.
We're not allowed to use those two words, and I can't even say them in this interview. So you will have to say them.
The words FIFA and World Cup, trademarks that are very strictly guarded. And the problem of chronic pain for female veterans of the military.
Your Health, brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
A new study has found a link between vaping and lung and heart function in young adults. Researchers at the University of Alberta studied people in their early 20s who'd been using e-cigarettes or vapes for about 3 years. And they found a direct link to impaired lung function, especially while exercising. None of the participants had a history of cigarette or marijuana use. A new national report says chronic pain among women, and especially women veterans, needs to be addressed immediately. Here's Pauline Chan.
Hélène Lassalère never experienced chronic pain during her 26 years with the military, but she did after.
Injuries in Afghanistan also. I had like a traumatic birth also. So a lot of things contributed to that. It's not only one thing.
And while Canada's military health care is comprehensive, she says the civilian system is fragmented and challenging for chronic pain, even for a military veteran. Dalhousie professor Alice Aikens was a physiotherapist with the Canadian Armed Forces.
About 22% of Canadian women experience chronic pain, but about 50% of Canadian women veterans experience chronic pain.
And she calls last April's report pivotal.
Women have been underrepresented in health research for far too long. And also, women veterans have been underrepresented even in veteran health research.
The authors are calling for a coordinated pan-Canadian plan to address gaps in care, policies, and research into chronic pain.
So I had to go to one clinic, for example, for the physio, another one for chiro, another one for kinesiology.
The report calls for more one-stop shops to provide treatments more efficiently. And Aiken says while the gathering of data for women and women veterans is somewhat recent, a plan to collect and organize pain data will ensure the best care is offered to women and women veterans. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Business News, brought to you by Oviedo Duluth, supporting families of sick children throughout the month of June.
And now here are some of the day's closing financial numbers. In Toronto, the TSX was down 67 points to 34,411. In New York, the Dow closed up 86 points to 50,872. The S&P 500 index finished the day 19 points lower to close at 7,386. And the Nasdaq was down 250 points to 25,678. And the Canadian dollar is trading slightly higher right now. It is at 71 cents, 0.68 cents US. A new survey finds a majority of people in Toronto and Vancouver don't believe that hosting the World Cup matches is worth the cost. The Angus Reid survey found 70% of respondents said the public cost and disruptions was worth the benefit of hosting the World Cup. And only a third of them believe their municipal governments will be fully transparent about the true costs. Also, more than half the respondents said they're not interested in watching the matches. During the World Cup, there will be many commercials from official FIFA sponsors, and they will be following some very strict rules. John Woodward has more.
Our screen will be in front of the mural.
Susan Puff is getting ready to turn this parking lot into a soccer watch party in a few days.
That will be on Friday with Team Canada, so we hope everybody comes and cheers them on.
The Broadview Danforth Business Improvement Association's poster says cheer on Team Canada, but there are some words you don't see.
We're not allowed to use those two words, and I can't even say them in this interview. So you will have to say them.
Okay, I'll say it. The words are World and Cup, trademarks that FIFA is jealously guarding because its sponsorship revenue is worth billions.
They're typically huge companies, first of all, because you have to remember a FIFA sponsorship at the highest level, let's say a Coca-Cola, for example, might be anywhere from $150 to $200 million.
But there are other businesses trying for publicity as well. Tim Hortons is just celebrating its soccer heritage. Canadian airline Air Transat has poked fun at sky-high ticket prices, comparing them to actual flights. A campaign that's taken off, says creator Rafik Belmesk.
When there's a big event like this, it's important for brands to capitalize on some of the momentum that's happening on the field and some of the conversations that the fans are having.
Metrolink's offering a limited edition soccer Presto card. Vancouver's TransLink agency selling out of its soccer ball-shaped transit passes. And pot shop Cosmic Charlie's on Toronto's Queen Street West isn't selling a World Cup trophy bong. They're saying,
we have our championship bong.
How close can I fly to the sun without getting my wings burned off?
Trademark lawyer Mei Cheng says these efforts are often tongue-in-cheek, but cross the line and the cease and desist letters will come.
They're inviting trouble, if I can put it that way.
Well,
trouble Susan Puff wants to avoid.
We've been creative, we've got a great plan, and everybody's going to have fun.
She knows that even if the words World Cup aren't on the poster, the fans will understand. John Woodward, CTV News.
There is a young boy in Pancourt who has a plan. Now, Caroline, he's working to make roads and school zones safer.
That's right, and his ideas are now in a petition that's making itself all the way to the National Assembly thanks to his local MNA. But what's really impressive is his age. We'll tell you about that on our Late Show. Another petition regarding the future of Villa Maria High School has also made it to the National Assembly, and we'll have a report on that vigil for the little girl who died after being lifted into the air in that inflatable structure in LaSalle 2 weekends ago. And it is yet another honor for Victoire Captain Marie-Philippe Poulin. We'll tell you all about it tonight at 11:30. Mitsui.
Thanks very much, Caroline. And when we come back, a life-changing friendship brought on by a wrong number. Finally tonight, an unlikely friendship that started quite by accident, and it's turned one man's life and career around. Danny New has a story.
Here we are. This is the story of one wrong number, two unlikely friends, and the effort to preserve 500,000 photos.
It feels so supportive, and I feel for the first time in a long time that I'm not alone.
24-year-old Lauren Stevens and 72-year-old Werner Krutine have been close friends for a few months now after Lauren got a new phone number, which apparently was Vern Dog's old one.
And I got a text message one day asking for Vern Dog. And I'm immediately like, who is Vern Dog?
Naturally, she found him on LinkedIn, and it turned out that Lauren, a film photographer,
Notice, see, like here they start the triple A's.
had just connected with a fellow Bay Area resident who has dedicated his career to taking pictures all around the world. He even snapped this famous photo from the 1989 earthquake of the Bay Bridge swallowing a car.
He took that photo.
I took a bunch.
That was in my textbook, Vern. They became friends very quickly, and Lauren soon learned that Vern had a problem. The website he had been selling his photographs on, called photovault.com, was no longer bringing in business like it did back in the early days of the internet. Werner was choosing to not even use heat or hot water in his home anymore.
I came to Vern and I was like, I feel like I need to do something. It started when I got this text asking for Vern Dog.
Lauren sprung into action, launching Vern Dog social media accounts, creating a GoFundMe page, and even completely redoing his website.
So listen to this one. This is hilarious, sort of.
And now this new friendship has led to more than $60,000 being raised for Vern and a whole lot more people seeing his life's work.
The moment she stepped in, it's like it was like a ray of sunshine. I mean,
sorry, that's so nice.
And I didn't even get into the entire cataloging system that Vern has spent decades working on for his website. Since 1995, Vern says he has spent 10 to 12 hours a day working on PhotoVault. In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
And Lauren, it looks like a wonderful night to be out and about, checking out murals.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. There's a nice light breeze that's helping remove some of that humidity. We're currently sitting at 28 degrees now with the humidex. It's feeling like 33 out there. It's going to get even hotter tomorrow in terms of the humidex. Now let's talk about what we're expecting over the next 24 hours. So it is nice and clear right now, but we will start to see increasing clouds overnight, and we start the day off with some showers. We could see some breaks in the rain. Later in the day, around 5 or 6 o'clock, we're looking at the risk of some thunderstorms, and it's a pretty high risk, so it's worth mentioning. And on top of that, we're seeing a daytime high of 26, but once again, that humidity strikes, and it's going to make it feel like 34. In terms of how much rain we're expecting tomorrow, right now it seems around 12 millimeters, so certainly don't risk it. Bring a raincoat, and that should help. Now, looking at the longer range forecast, it looks like we could see some sunshine on Thursday, but I really want to mention that Friday, it's going to feel like 39.
And that's it for us. Have a good evening. Stay well. Good night.